This is the evening news for Tuesday, August 19, 2014. I'm Ruben Stobie. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight, GDF signs $1 billion military aid package with Chinese military. Small loggers say Chinese making invaluable contribution to Guyana's development. PPP condemns attacks on Chinese investors. National footballer on bail after narcotic possession. Dynamic Airways still unsure about restart date, and farmer fined for stealing deodorants from store. Now for the news in detail. The Guyana Defense Force has benefited from more than $1 billion donated by the Chinese military as part of a military aid package. More details in this report.
The heads of the Guyana and Chinese military met to conduct the annual bilateral staff conference. As part of the conference, the two military bodies signed a military aid package, which saw the GDF benefiting from more than $1 billion to assist in enhancing the work of the local army. The package was signed by GDF Chief of Staff Brigadier Mark Phillips and Major General Kong Lee of the People's Liberation Army at the conference center today. According to the Chief of Staff, since 1970, the Chinese Army has been providing military assistance to the Defense Force. He added that, based on the agreement, the money will be used to acquiring only non-lethal materials.
By way of agreement, the assistance will always be non-lethal. It's related to, for example, engineering equipment, medical equipment. You can have buildings constructed with the money. You could buy military kit, but not weapons.
Brigadier Phillips added that the GDF ranks have also benefited from tactical and operational training from China over the years. Meanwhile, Major General Lee said that his visit here is to implement and sign the package that was agreed upon by the heads of the two military bodies.
我的任务就是当面听取将军阁下和在座的各位朋友、同事的意见。
I will listen to you, General, and your colleagues on your perspective of the aid graders.
进一步了解呢，贵军需要哪些方面的支援和援助
especially on what do you need from China,
以便我们有针对性的做好准备工作。
to facilitate the further relevance of our preparation.
During the conference, presentations were made by both the Guyana Defense Force and the People's Liberation Army, after which discussions were held on military issues. Reporting for the evening news, Vanu Manikchan.
The People's Progressive Party Civic is condemning several attacks on foreign investors in the wake of recent speculation that Chinese-owned logging company by Shanlin has been engaged in illegalities. Details in this report.
People's Progressive Party General Secretary Clement Rohi said that there have been sustained and calculated attacks by the opposition and sections of the press on foreign investors, especially those of Chinese origin. According to the party, these targeted attacks are directed at the Chinese people, in spite of their industrious predisposition, which is evident throughout the world.
This industrious nature of the Chinese people has redounded beneficially to the economies of many nations, including ours, and has impacted positively on the lives of many. Our party wishes to remind the opposition and the Kaichunius that we live in a multi-ethnic society with our peoples cohabiting in harmony, sharing and celebrating each other's culture and traditions. This is evident throughout all of our national festivals, everyday way of life, and events that serve to bring our people together. The Chinese remain an integral part of our country's identity, sharing common bonds of indentureship with other ethnic groups. Their contributions to our nation since setting foot on these shores, like all others, have been immeasurable and invaluable.
According to the PPP, Chinese have demonstrated the will to contribute to the development of Guyana and must be encouraged to do so. He explained that they should never be made victims of hostile political and media propaganda. It is their belief that attack on one ethnic group is an attack on all of Guyana. According to the PPP, such unwarranted attacks run counter to Guyana's hospitable characteristics and can only damage and disgrace the country's motto of one people, one nation, and one destiny.
These attacks are in blatant contradiction to the call for investments. There must be no discrimination against Chinese investors. The opposition and the Kaichou News and Starbuck News have persistently accused the PPPC administration of not doing enough to encourage foreign investors, which, according to them, is badly needed to create jobs and bolster the economy.
Rohi said Guyanese must never forget the extent to which the opposition and its media cohorts went to discourage the foreign investors, as he alluded to the Amila Falls Hydro project, the specialty hospital, and the Cheddi Jagan International Airport expansion, among others. The PPP is convinced that the anti-investment actions coupled with the cuts to the country's annual budgets are designed to harm the economy and deprive Guyanese of a more modern nation and a brighter future. Shania Singh for the Evening News.
Small loggers organizations from across Region 10 united today to rebuke calls for the minimization of Chinese investments in Guyana, saying that Chinese investors such as Bai Shanlin have been making an invaluable contribution to the forestry trade. Details in the Svetlana Marshall report.
Executive member of Kukwani Natural Resources Organization Patricia Boyle today said Chinese investors have created a favorable environment for small loggers, particularly those in Region 10. She explained the Chinese company, including Bai Shanling, purchased a wide range of species from small loggers, but mostly Wamara logs. She said it was the Chinese that created the markets on the international scene for Wamara when little interest was shown in the species previously used as firewood.
Before logs are sold, strict guidelines regarding the harvesting of forest produce must be followed. Log tracking tags enable the tracing of logs right back to the stump in its place of origin. GFC have been diligent in ensuring that regulations governing verification of origin, sustainable logging, and environmental practices are followed. Stump inspections are carried out by GFC officers many times at short notice. The Chinese use their machineries to extract, load, and transport produce for small loggers. They provide a ready market and allow small loggers to have a steady income.
Boyle was among dozens of members and beneficiaries from the small loggers organizations in Region 10 that converged at the Humaniana to signal their dissatisfaction over recent attacks on Bai Shanling, one of their primary buyers. Region 10 Agriculture and Forest Producers Association consultant Philip Bino said Chinese logging operations often assist local loggers financially by providing advances.
They transformed firewood into a means of economic growth and development. They caused you now with your chainsaw to be able to harvest the log and sell it at the stump. Many of them go to the stump and extract your logs. Nowadays, you can get advance payment for your logs that you have not yet cut.
The Small Loggers Associations hosted a conference one day after the Guyana Forestry Commission sought to clear up a series of misconceptions that have been created with regards to logging operations here in Guyana.
The United States government, through the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, provided carrier liaison program training in Georgetown from August 11 to 15 at the Cheddi Jagan International Airport. The program provided standardized training and assistance to international air carriers related to admissibility and fraudulent document detection in order to encourage carrier compliance with U.S. immigration laws, the U.S. Embassy here said in a release. Approximately 100 employees from local airlines and security companies, including Caribbean Airlines, Fly Jamaica, Roraima Airways, TravelSpan Inc., New Temeri Handling Service Inc., and Suriname Airways were trained with the aim of enhancing border security by increasing commercial carrier effectiveness in identifying improperly documented passengers destined for the United States. A 31-year-old national footballer of Sophia was today released on bail after facing a possession of narcotic charge. Sheikh Kamal appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts before Magistrate Fabai Azor, where he pleaded not guilty to the charge, which alleged that on August 15 at Upper Mazruni, he had in his possession 37 grams of cannabis for the purpose of trafficking. He was placed on $150,000 bail and was told to return on October 7. The construction of the new Guyana Geology and Mines Commission building in Bartica is behind schedule, and the GGMC is looking to review its completion date. Details in this report.
The construction of the new Guyana Geology and Mines Commission office in Bartica Region 7 is behind its initial completion date. The building was scheduled to be completed in September, but at its current construction stage, it is way behind that schedule. And contractor Eustace Lowe has blamed unavailability of material and the inclement weather for the delays. Lowe explained that the project started in March and maintains that he will be able to meet the mid-September deadline for the completion of the job. Natural Resources and Environment Minister Robert Prasad, who was at the set time touring the facility, expressed disappointment at the slow rate of construction. He said over the weeks he has received positive reports, but the reports do not correspond with the amount of work being done at the site. The minister disclosed that he will be instructing the GGMC to review the process and set a new date for the completion of the regional sub-office. Meanwhile, GGMC Chairman Clinton Williams was also concerned that the works are behind schedule. The regional sub-office plays a major role in the gold industry and is strategically located in the mining town, which sits at the entrance to Guyana's major mining districts.
While U.S. officials have taken steps to cancel the charter services license of Dynamic Airways, the local representatives of the airline are maintaining that they will recommence operations. Details in this report.
Captain Jerry Gavaya, who is the local representative of Dynamic Airways, says that the airline is unsure of a date for the recommencement of flights here. He said while this is so, the airline will be returned to fly the Georgetown JFK route. This comes even as U.S. officials have listed Dynamic Airways as cancelled on their annual charter report. Dynamic Airways came on the local scene with promises of affordable flights and reliable service. However, a few days after the first flight, the carrier was hit with several issues, including lengthy flight delays and the absence of a ground handler at the JFK. As a result of this, passengers had to be shuttled from another airport to the JFK. Shortly after, the company suspended operations with the aim of restarting on August 8. However, Dynamic Airways later said that it was unsure whether it was able to meet that deadline. Reporting for the Evening News, Jomo Paul.
If you have a news tip or news story you would like our news team to follow, message us or WhatsApp telephone number 680-9630 or 600-3117. You can also call us at our office 231-0382 or 226-2102, 223-7230 or 223-7231. The Evening News returns after these messages. Welcome back. 58-year-old Arlington James was today fined $10,000 or an alternative of 2 weeks imprisonment after he was charged with simple larceny. James appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Magistrate Fabaya Azor. The charge alleged that on August 18 at Water Street, James stole 2 Gillette deodorants valued $1,244 each, a total sum of $2,488 belonging to Bounty Supermarket. The defendant is a first-time offender and pleaded guilty to the charge. The Ministry of Labour, Human Services and Social Security today in the NSERD boardroom unveiled findings from the first ever labour market intelligence survey conducted in 5 occupational sectors. Alexis Rodney reports.
The intelligence survey funded by the Inter-American Development Bank was conducted in the 10 administrative regions across Guyana between July and October last year, targeting the manufacturing, commercial trade, hotel and hospitality, construction and engineering, and forestry sectors. Chief Statistical Officer of the Ministry of Labour, Ivelaw Henry, delivering the report, said the survey's objective was embedded in an effort to ascertain whether there is an existing shortage of skills in the 5 sectors identified.
We know that there are more vacancies than in the commercial trade, but we must not hide away the fact that, in manufacturing and construction engineering, there will be where the money will be. People will be earning more in those areas, and it calls for more highly skilled workers. So if we say, let's say, you know, commercial trade, you have more vacancy then we still have to bear in mind the fact that in commercial trade, you know, you go down Regent Street, you'll see a vacancy there or what have you, might be for the kind of, you know, occupation that might not be so flamboyant in terms of the wages, right?
This gap is revealed in the fact that managerial technicians and machine operators are in high demand, while there are inadequate provisions to supply these skills. Henry said there is supporting information to substantiate the existing dilemma, including information with regards to proportionately lower number of managerial and supervisory workers, highly skilled workers, and numerous vacancies for managers and technically skilled individuals. From the survey, it was found that many persons are prepared to work in the labor force in one occupation for extended periods. He explained that although this may be good for stability, it is still necessary to address the issues of workplace inactivity and work improvement on the job.
54% of the workers completed secondary school education.
Last year's exercise was said to be the first ever to be conducted in Guyana. Prior to this, the Labour Ministry had depended on the National Census Report, which was carried out every decade. Stakeholders gave some favorable responses, commending the ministry for the wise step, and suggested that the first-time activity become an annual event. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
25-year-old Melissa Premnath was today granted bail after a larceny charge was laid against her. The resident of Lot 27 Tumeri Public Road is a mother of 2 children, ages 6 and 2. It was alleged that on June 9 to July 12 at Land of Canaan East Bank Demerara, Premnath stole $165,000 from Gaffson's Industries Limited. There were no previous convictions for the defendant and she was placed on $80,000 bail. She is to return on October 6, where she will face the Chief Magistrate, Priya Sinarayan Bihari. The government is urging the mining community to turn a new leaf with the aim of straying away from the conventionalities such as trafficking in persons. Details in this report.
Natural Resources and Environment Minister Robert Prasad has urged miners to rid the sector of prostitution and work to preserve the environment even as they pursue their fortunes. Prostitution and allegations of human trafficking are rampant in the mining community. The minister said it was important that miners remain cognizant of the ecological effects of mining. He pointed out that each miner has a responsibility to ensure that the ecosystem is protected when mining and illegal activities are at a minimum in the mining industry. This way the industry will move from strength to strength on the social and ecological fronts. Reporting for the Evening News, Jomo Paul.
Canadian oil and gas exploration company CGX Energy has entered into a definitive agreement for the provision of helicopter services for use in the drilling of its first commitment well on its Corentyne block. More from Alexis Rodney.
Under the terms of the agreement, the company has procured the services of Bristow Helicopters Limited, a corporation organized under the laws of England. Additionally, CGX has completed a shallow hazard survey in order to acquire seabed conditions and drilling hazard information surrounding the location of its first commitment well on the Corentyne block. The survey, performed by the MV Surveyor of Guardline Marine Sciences Limited, comprised an area of 3.5 and 4.5 kilometers. Soil boring samples will be taken in October this year to predict the leg penetration for the Hakuru 12 jack-up drilling rig. CGX Energy is a Canadian-based oil and gas exploration company which focuses on the exploration of oil in the Guyana-Suriname Basin. Bristow Group Inc., based in Houston, Texas, is the leading provider of helicopter services to the worldwide offshore energy industry, based on the number of aircraft operated, and one of the 2 helicopter service providers to the offshore energy industry with global operations. Bristow has served the offshore oil transport industry in major exploration and production arenas for more than 50 years and has been responsible for many industry-leading technological innovations. Back in June, the Canadian Oil Explorer had announced that it received a 5-month extension to begin drilling for oil at its Corentyne Petroleum prospecting license block following approval by the government of Guyana. CGX Energy had commenced the procurement process in order to complete its 2014 work commitment on its 100% owned offshore Demerara PPL. The company continues to examine methods to reduce the costs associated with the Demerara PPL's seismic survey and expects to be able to share these costs with other companies operating in the Guyana-Suriname Basin. For the evening news, Alexis Rodney.
Stay tuned to the evening news. Thanks for staying tuned to the evening news. Persons who have served their communities decades ago and are on many occasions forgotten and not treated with the special kind of care they needed were recently pampered when the Berbice Regional Health Authority, BRHA, held its 4th geriatric clinic at the Gay Park, Mandir. The mega clinics have been established to ensure that elderly folks have access to quality health care in their communities. More than 300 persons were seen by medical personnel and treated for various ailments and received manicures and pedicures along with massages and facial enhancements. Some even received haircuts. BRHA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Vishwa Mahadio noted that patients received back massages, 1-minute screening, and some were referred for psychiatric help. Residents of Port Kaituma Northwest District are utterly dissatisfied with the current situation there, especially as it relates to the inadequate power supply, which they believe could be easily remedied. Alexis Rodney has details.
A few residents speaking with the evening news earlier today said for close to 3 months, the Port Kaituma Power and Light Company, PKPL, has been failing miserably in its supply to the more than 500 households in the Sidsburg, Central Port Kaituma, and other neighboring communities. A community member, Krishna David, told the evening news that for over 2 months now, residents in the area have only been receiving electricity for a few hours during the evening, and that depends on whether the power company receives fuel in time. He said the situation is waning as the days go by. The Port Kaituma Power and Light Company is in receipt of 3 generators. However, only one is functioning. David, who has been living in the community for some 12 years, said that the power company has always been experiencing such problems. Meanwhile, another resident who is employed by the power company told the evening news that lightning has been the cause of the destruction to the non-working generators. He explained that the current issue arose close to 3 months ago when the 3rd generator that was recently bought was struck by lightning. He said a similar fate had befallen the company in July of last year when another generator was struck by lightning. The PKPL employee revealed that the company's management is refusing to heed advice for proper protection of the generators. He explained that although the equipment are housed in the building, they are impossible to protect from the lightning without lightning arresters surrounding the buildings. He, like other residents, are hoping that the situation could be resolved soon. The resident is also hoping that those persons charged with representing the interests of community members there will take on their responsibility. The interim management committee that has been in existence for some time now has not been pulling its weight, he said. Efforts to contact the Chief Executive Officer of the PKPL Board, Sean James, and IMC Chairman Margaret Lambert proved futile. For the evening news, Alexis Rodney.
More news still ahead. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. In the region, a United States court has granted a subpoena to the Integrity Commission in Trinidad and Tobago, allowing it to request information from the internet search engine Google as part of its investigation into the alleged Emailgate scandal there. Justice William H. Orrick of the Northern District of California Court on August 14 granted the application for a subpoena seeking information for the email accounts anand@gmail.com Anand at tstt.net.tt, and the Kamla pb1 at gmail.com, which the Commission said was relevant to a criminal investigation into possible governmental corruption. Internationally, Israel's military says it has carried out airstrikes in the Gaza Strip in response to fresh rocket fire hours before a ceasefire was set to expire. Officials said terror targets were hit in Gaza after rockets were fired towards the towns of Beersheba and Netivot. Talks in Cairo to end the violence have broken up, and the Israeli delegation is now on its way back home. Officials say 2,016 Palestinians and 66 Israelis have died since Operation Protective Edge began on July 8. It's now time for the bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed from 14 hours on Wednesday, August 20, 2014 for a period of 1.5 hours. The Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed from 13:10 hours on Wednesday, August 20, 2014, also for a period of 1.5 hours. The sports news is next. Stay tuned. It's now time for the sports news. In the headlines, Guyana's youth Olympic team continues rough start to Olympic Games. AINLIM launches 10K road run. Webster surges back to top spot in LGC Club tournament, and Under-14 Football Academy kicks off on the East Bank. The sports news is brought to you with the kind compliments of Macorp.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Macorp, let's build Guyana together.
Table tennis player Chelsea Edgehill was unable to change her fortunes in the group stage of the women's singles table tennis tournament at the Youth Olympics in Nanjing, China on Monday, as she lost her final group game to crash out without a win. Edgehill was defeated 11-4, 11-6, 11-2 by Ria Rakovac of Croatia in the women's singles in Group F. Meanwhile, Brittany Van Lang took to the pool on Monday as well in the girls' 100 meters freestyle, but failed to make a qualifying time. She will hope for better results in the 50 meters fly on Thursday. Swimmer Hannibal Gaskin will compete in the boys' 50 meters fly on Wednesday and the 100 meters freestyle on Thursday. Track athlete Jason Yaw gets into action in the 400 meters on Wednesday. Neil and Massey Group of companies under their subsidiary brand AINLIM launched the 2014 edition of their now annual 10K road run on Monday at the company's headquarters on Mandela Avenue. Tristan Joseph was there and filed this report.
The 10K is set for August 31 with the starting point at Viridian Hoop and is expected to give away around $2.5 million in cash and prizes, as well as other logistics for the event. CEO of the Neil and Massey Group of Companies, Dio Prasad, talked about the importance of the event.
It's part of our community, social impact committee, I should say, through which we give back to the community in various forms. And this is one way we see that we could give back to the community. So it's something we encourage as part of our company to have fit employees, and by extension we would like a fit and healthy community.
First Vice President of the Athletics Association of Guyana, Gavin Hope, was grateful for Neil and Massey's continued interest in sports.
I want to thank and congratulate Neil and Massey for their continuous support for athletics and their continuous effort in making this event a possibility.
Athletes are being asked to register early for the event that has 5 categories in the juniors, seniors, masters 35 to 54 and masters 55 and over. There will also be a 5K walk jog for members of the public. Registration for the event is being done at the Guyana Olympic Association headquarters in Kingston.
Guyana Open female golf champion of 2013, Chanella Webster, displayed some fine performances as she rose to the top spot in Saturday's medal play club tournament at the Lusignan Golf Club. Webster delivered a gross 9-1, resulting in a net 66 from her handicap of 25. Webster's previous victory was on Saturday, March 29, 2014, when she won the Torganol Paints-sponsored medal play tournament with a net 64, then edged out veteran player Kalyan Tiwari on a back 9 count, since he also fielded a net 64. Other winners in last Saturday's tournament were second place Juliet Prince, handicap 37 and net 67, third place Fazil Hanif, handicap 11 and net 72, fourth place and best gross Mohanlal Dinanath, handicap 3, net 72. Close to 100 youths drawn from Agricola East Bank Demerara to Kurukururu on the Sousdike Linden Highway on Monday commenced a one-week academy at the Grove Playfield East Bank Demerara, organized by the East Bank Football Association, EDFA, being held under the theme "Success is no accident, it is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do," a quote from the great Edison Arantes do Nascimento, aka Pele. The players will be exposed to the fundamentals of the game and a number of topical issues. The program is being sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, and will see the under-14 players being better equipped to be more effective at the club level and in their communities. And that has brought us to the end of the evening news for today, Tuesday, August 19, 2014. Please remember to get a copy of tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times for details of these stories and other news. I'm Ruben Stobie. Thanks for joining us.